that awkward week between Christmas and New Year's where nobody really wants to work or people are off work. And I just feel like we're just waiting for the next holiday. Jose and I, we landed last night from my parents' house, and then in a couple days we're leaving for Spain for a couple weeks. I'm exhausted. For those of you who celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. I hope you guys had a good one, and a Happy New Year to everybody. My filming schedule these next couple of weeks are going to be weird, so I don't know what's going up when, but Happy New Year. But the day that I was leaving for my parents, I saw that Charlotte Tilbury launched her first eyeshadow quad in a couple years. It's not her first eyeshadow palette, but she has kind of jumped off a cliff in terms of launching eyeshadow quads. Unpopular opinion, because I know a lot of people think that her quads aren't worth it, but I love her quads. I collect her quads. I enjoy the looks that I get from her quads. So I was excited about this. So this is new and it's limited edition. This is the Queen of Luck palette. Now what intrigued me about this is because one of my all-time favorite palettes from Charlotte Tilbury is the Queen of Glow. And I'm like, is Queen of Luck going to be similar to it? Still no Fire Rose, my fellow US residents. I don't know. I don't know. But we do have this Queen of Luck. It is $55, which is a hefty price point. It came pretty quickly for me. It's in the regular Charlotte Tilbury packaging. Unfortunately, I was hoping it would be fancy holiday-ish kind of packaging. So you'll see it's in the regular Charlotte Tilbury compact, 18-month life, still made in Italy, which is fantastic. I'm gonna tell you, I'm opening it, I'm looking at it right now. It's not what I expected, with the name being Queen of Luck, comparing it in my head to Queen of Glow. But it's pretty, it's light. It's definitely not gonna cater to those of you with deeper skin tones, unless you're going for that glowy look, of course. Let me just show you. So here it is. It's a pretty nude palette, and I'm sorry guys, my lighting is off today. There is no sun in Miami today, and I normally work off natural lighting. But here's what it looks like. It's very light and nude. They describe it as a duochrome golden pink, warm terracotta brown, champagne gold shades to gild your eyes in the lucky glow of moonlight. Hold on. Let me put on my Charlotte Tilbury voice. Darlings, gild your eyes in the lucky glow of moonlight with my new limited edition luxury palette in Queen of Luck. To celebrate the year of the dragon, this new palette is the perfect New Year gift to gift luck, light, and magic. So, okay. It's a Lunar New Year collection, which I am usually, I'm not a fan of Lunar New Year collections. I still kind of feel the way about this launch, but let's take a look at it. Okay, so I turned the lights down really low, so you can really see the colors here. So we have just the Prime shade, which is a light champagne shade, and it's just a true shimmer. Right below it, we have her Pop shade, which this one is almost like a lid topper. And it's going to add a glimmer to the eye. This right here is the Enhance shade. So this one is like a duochrome. It has a pink gold shift. And then we have Smoke, which is just a classic medium terracotta brown matte shade. Let's swatch them. Prime, Pop, ignore my nails. It's those weird in-between days. I am not doing maintenance right now. Here's the Enhance, and then here is our Smoke shade. So honestly, these shades are really, really pretty. I can tell you right now, is this anything unique for Charlotte Tilbury or in your collection? No. But I'm liking the glimmers that I'm seeing, and we're definitely going to be doing some comparisons today. And then also, after I do my eyes today, I saw that she came out again with the Glowgasm Lightgasm face palette. So this one came out a few years ago. And has she relaunched this since? I'm mixing it up. There was another face palette that relaunched. But anyways, this one is so pretty. And I definitely think it's going to do better this time around because these style of powders and their finishes are a little bit more popular right now than they were when this palette originally launched. So I'll pop this on my face again today so you guys can see it. I don't know if it's been reformulated. I just have that original one, but it's really pretty. But first, let's get into the eyes. With Charlotte Tilbury, the eyeshadows wear pretty long on my eyes, and I'm not somebody who struggles with longevity of eyeshadows, so do keep that in mind. But I find that these are a dry enough formula to where you don't need to use a really amazing eye primer and they'll wear really well. Some eyeshadows, as you guys know, they're just too creamy where you do need to wear a classic eye primer. In some shades, they're more dry and you just don't need to do that extra step. Charlotte Tilbury is one where you don't need to do that extra step. So I'm just using a little bit of my Yensa concealer. My brushes are still in my suitcase right now that I brought with me. So I'm going to use some random ones sitting in here. So we're going to start off with our smoke shade. This is just the matte shade. And I'm going to pop this in the outer corner. I hope you guys don't mind this video being a little bit more casual. You know, it's just those days in between Christmas and New Year's. I just feel more relaxed right now. I want to do everything more casually. So this just adds a really pretty soft definition in my outer corner here. I like it. It's very nice. My thing with this palette though, this smoke shade isn't going to be very smoky on a deeper complexion, and this is all we have in terms of a smoky shade. Charlotte Tilbury has such a beautiful formula, especially in the mattes. I feel like she could get away with putting a darker shade, but a buildable darker shade, one that blends out really easily so you have a lot of range in depth with just the one shade. So let me see, actually, maybe we can build this up to get it deeper. Not super duper dark if I'm being honest, but on my skin tone, this is like the perfect mid-tone brown shade, and it's really soft. Just a really great classic Charlotte Tilbury matte formulation. I like this shade. Popping that on the lower lash line. I'm using a Wingas 18 brush for this, by the way. Then I'm going to continue with this brush, and we're going to take a little bit of the prime shade, which is just the shimmery champagne, and I'm pressing it in the inner third of my eye as well as the tear duct to work as our highlight. This is really pretty. Now this is going to give that classic Charlotte Tilbury glowy eyelid if you want to put this all over. We do have those glimmery shades that I'm going to mess with, but these just give a really pretty shimmer and glow to the eye. How pretty is that? And that was not applied with a dense brush either. Okay, so I'm going to put both of our glimmery shades on different eyelids so we can really see what the impact is there. So I'm going to start off with this shade, and you can see the pretty star embossment that was in there is already gone within the first swatch, but this has a pink gold shift to it, and it doesn't have much of a pigmented base, but it is really pretty and reflective all over the eyelid. Not too messy and very, very fine. Now we're going to go into her pop shade, which this one is more of a golden shade. Again, just like the other shade, it does not have a color base to it. It has a harder feel to it, whereas this one has more of a slick feel to it. And I feel like this one that I'm applying on my eyelid right now definitely is a little bit more harder pressed, but I don't know, which one is more glimmery to you? I think the pop shade is more glimmery, but they're both pretty equal in the glimmer field, but you can see the colors here, they do look different. So the enhancer shade definitely has that stronger pink shift, whereas you just get that classic golden glow with the pop shade. And then my favorite makeup technique right now to open up the eyes, I love using a light shimmery shade along my whole lower lash line, especially focusing it, you know, underneath this area and right here. It opens up the eyes like no other. So I'm using that prime shade. I was just keeping the look really simple and clean. I mean, I know it's technically two different looks, but I wanted you to see the difference between the two shades. Color story wise, is this palette anything to write home about when it comes to Charlotte Tilbury? No. And I have to say I'm a little bit disappointed that she didn't risk anything with this launch. It just feels like a couple steps back because it's been so long since she's launched a new eyeshadow quad that I was hoping she would come out with a bang, something different. But really it feels like there was no time in between spent trying to improve and innovate. She just brought back an old formulation. So that's what I wanted to talk about next. I'm going to quickly put on a little bit of liner and lash, and we'll talk about how this compares to some other palettes in the line. I pulled out my Charlotte Tilbury push-up lashes in the shade Dream Pop, so it's like almost a maroony purple color. I thought it'd be fun since we were doing Charlotte Tilbury today. But let's compare the new Queen of Lucky. So I got excited when I saw this launch on the website because Queen of Glow right here is one of my all-time favorites. And they are not anything alike, to my disappointment. You can see, obviously color story wise they're different, which is a good thing, much more warm, much more deep. But this palette, Queen of Glow, was so great because it works so good on deeper complexions. It was really beautiful and rich, but the formulas are different. You still have a good matte and you still have the one shimmer right here, but the Queen of Glow right here is 3 really buttery, rich feeling shimmers. They just don't feel like that in the new Queen of Lucky. But let me show you. Here's Queen of Lucky and Queen of Glow so you can see the differences. Even in the shimmer swatches here, can't you tell how these are different? Now there's really not a pop shade in the Queen of Glow palette other than this one. It's just different vibe, very light and airy, so they are not the same whatsoever, unfortunately. But if you've been keeping an eye on the Charlotte Tilbury holiday launches the last few years, she launched these Celestial Pearl eyeshadows. So what I'm shocked by is the Celestial Pearl eyeshadows are the same as this one, particularly Cosmic Pearl from a couple years ago. They're the exact same formulas. This shade right here is that enhanced shade, and this one has like a blue-brown duochrome, and it had the stars, and then it has shimmer shades, and then the one matte. But what's different about the Queen of Lucky is there's a pop shade. There was not a pop shade in the Cosmic Pearl, but these are kind of the same formulas because in the Cosmic Pearl, this one right here is that duochrome shade that we have right here. So they're very close. The other pearly palette that came out was Celestial Pearl here. Now this one, Celestial Pearl, didn't have a matte, so that's what's different. But it did have a pop shade, it did have the prime shade, and it did have the enhanced shade. So this is like an extension of these two that launched without the pretty packaging. So that's what I'm disappointed by. Also, why did she not do the pretty packaging if it's the same formulas that we got in these a couple years ago? So let me swatch compare them for you. The color stories in Celestial Pearl are pretty close. So the Celestial Pearl palette has a pinky gold shift as well. Here's the one in Queen of Lucky versus Celestial Pearl. The one in Celestial Pearl, dare I say, is even prettier as well. I'm gonna say though, if you have Celestial Pearl from a couple years ago and you still have it and you don't have a desire to refresh it, you do not need Queen of Lucky. These are pretty close. I know these two shades are definitely different here. This shade doesn't have a match, but for the most part, you're gonna get a very similar look. And honestly, I like Celestial Pearl more. Not that this one isn't pretty, but you definitely don't need both. And there really is no need to swatch compare these two at all. They are different from one another, but they are that same kind of formula layout. Another nude quad that I felt was a little similar was the Hollywood Flawless Eye Filter palette in Star Aura. Now this one has all 4 of the same formula. They're that really slick formula that we only have one of in the Queen of Luck right here, but they aren't duochrome either. They do have that similar slick feel, but other than that, like honestly, they aren't the same formulas, but they're still kind of nude, so I wanted to show you. Queen of Luck on top, Star Aura at the bottom. This kind of looks like a downgrade, doesn't it? This one looks so much better, and I wasn't even wowed when this one came out. Very interesting, but color-wise, this one is definitely more pinky taupey, so they don't even really look that similar, especially swatched. So I mean, as far as this Queen of Luck palette, it is pretty. It does give that pretty Charlotte Tilbury effortless glowy look, so you're still gonna get that with this. Is it my favorite Charlotte Tilbury quad that's ever launched? No. Does it touch Fire Rose? No. Does it touch Queen of Glow? Unfortunately not, which I was hoping that it would, but it gives a really effortless look that you don't have to think about, that still looks pretty. It's very flattering. So yeah, I mean, I will get use out of this. That's not in question here at all, and it's still good quality. But if you're a collector of the brand, it doesn't stand out, so that is a little bit disappointing considering how long it's been and how Charlotte Tilbury has stepped away from doing eyeshadow quads. Nothing new, nothing exciting, but I still just love this formula. Moving on here though, as I was on the website looking up information about the quad, I did see that she brought back the Glowgasm face palette in Lightgasm, so I thought we could do that for the face color today. This palette is $75 and it's really beautiful. She used to have a darker one as well that doesn't look to be available right now. I always thought this one was really pretty. Now I've always struggled with the bronzer. I don't have the bronzer on right now. I'm using the House Labs Velvet Bronzer in Light Level 2. It's the perfect tone for me. I've always had trouble picking up pigment with this one. It's a baked gelée formula. I don't know why I'm even attempting to show you this, but the pigment doesn't really show up with this one. So for a $75 palette, unless it's been reformulated, that just takes out this. I don't really like this except for maybe nose contouring or a little bit in the crease where it's very, very sheer. But this might have been reformulated. I don't know. And it says it's only back for a limited time. But where I get the value in this is I love the glowy shades here. These give that classic Charlotte Tilbury glow to the face. Take a look at these yummy, yummy swatches. This is that bronzer that I couldn't even lie about if I tried to. But look at that, that's a highlight, this is a cheek color, and this is another cheek color. How pretty are they? Let's just pop them on my face today. So we're going to start off with this one right here. It does have a sheen to it, but it's going to look so pretty with the eyelid color on this side. There's a strong golden shift, so do keep that in mind if you do have very textured skin. So if you don't like a glow on the cheek, this isn't going to be the palette for you, but I turn and you see it does add that pretty color to the face. There also is this copper one. Now when it comes to this palette, a lot of times when I use it, I'll put a matte blush underneath. And I like to use these more so as blush toppers because they are quite shiny and they will emphasize texture. They're not one of those formulas that defies the laws and theory of makeup, but it still is really pretty. And on a deeper complexion, this is more of a highlight shade. And then we also have this really beautiful highlight. So this is a palette that in my initial review, I did struggle to justify the $75 price point with. It's really hard to justify that, especially when I just don't like the bronzer. It's not good in my opinion. And the cheek colors, there is a little bit of compromise there with it being so glimmery on the cheek. But that being said, when it's all said and done and it's applied to the cheek, I love the Charlotte Tilbury glow that this gives to the face. So to compromise with it, like I said, I do like to use a matte base color blush underneath and then put these products over top. So for that, I can't tell you it's worth $75, but the finish of it looks really, really beautiful. So I have enjoyed having this in my collection. I am excited to see it back as a Charlotte Tilbury fan. And the packaging here is so luxe. This is what we pay that little bit of extra or a lot of bit of extra money to. Let's just finish off with a quick Charlotte Tilbury lip. I watched a reel on Sophia Tilbury's page. She was demoing a bunch of different lip combos and I was like, oh, I love her lip products so much. So I'm using Iconic Nude lip liner. This is a great shade for contouring and shaping the lip. And then I'm going to use In Love with Olivia, which is one of the best everyday shades from the line. And I've been saying this since the beginning. Charlotte Tilbury has my favorite lipstick formula and collection. She just has the best colors. And there we have it, just messing around with some Charlotte Tilbury while I'm kind of chilling at home. I hope you guys found this helpful. If you have any questions about the Queen of Luck quad from Charlotte Tilbury, let me know down below. What are your thoughts? I just wanted to share the new one now with you. And then also don't forget, if you've been wanting and lusting for the Lightgasm face palette, that is back in stock. But yeah, I have a whole bunch of Charlotte Tilbury videos on my channel if you want to check them out. You guys know I'm a longtime fan of the brand, so I've covered so many videos on the brand if you're just getting started. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Subscribe to my channel if you want more, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye guys, have a good one.